Welcome back to Take 5 with the Saints. I'm Elizabeth, and today is February 21st. And today is the day that we remember John Henry Newman, an influential churchman and man of letters of the 19th century who led the Oxford movement in the Church of England. He later became a priest and a cardinal deacon in the Roman Catholic Church. He was a renowned theologian who made his own life a pilgrimage towards God's truth. The scripture reading for today is from John chapter 8, verses 12 through 18. Again, Jesus spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Then the Pharisees said to him, You are testifying on your own behalf. Your testimony is not valid. Jesus answered, Even if I testify on my own behalf, my testimony is valid because I know where I have come from and where I am going. But you do not know where I come from or where I am going. You judge by human standards. I judge no one. Yet even if I do judge, my judgment is valid. For it is not I alone who judge, but I and the Father who sent me. In your law, it is written that the testimony of two witnesses is valid. I testify on my own behalf, and the Father who sent me testifies on my behalf. Then they said to him, Where is your Father? Jesus answered, You know neither me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father also. John Henry Newman was born in London in 1801 and had a rather conventional upbringing in a Church of England home where the emphasis was on the Bible rather than dogmas or sacraments, and where any sort of evangelical enthusiasm would have been frowned upon. And here's where we start going down a theological and philosophical rabbit hole. First of all, the term evangelical would have meant something very different than our 21st century understanding. Evangelicalism maintains the belief that the essence of the gospel consists of the principle of salvation by grace alone, solely through faith in Jesus' atonement. Grace being defined as courteous goodwill given by God that is not asked for nor deserved, but is freely given. It is a spontaneous gift from God to people, generous, free, and totally unexpected and undeserved. Grace is an important philosophy to keep in mind, and we'll return to it in a moment. Newman received his education at Oxford University, was a prolific writer, and was among the founders of the Oxford movement, a movement of high church members of the Church of England, which eventually evolved into Anglo-Catholicism. High church is a term that we use. It's very similar to what we think of it as today. It's very formal worship with an emphasis on all the rituals, clergy vestments, altar pieces, elaborate music, the bells and smells, the beloved thurible. Parishes that are high church adhere closely to the quintessentially Anglican usages and liturgical practices of the Book of Common Prayer. Here's what the Encyclopedia Britannica has to say. The Oxford movement, 19th century movement, centered at the University of Oxford that sought a renewal of Catholic, or lowercase c, meaning universal, or Roman Catholic thought and practice within the Church of England in opposition to the Protestant tendencies of the Church. The argument was that the Anglican Church was, by history and identity, a truly Catholic, lowercase c, universal church. An immediate cause of the movement was the change that took place in the relationship between the state and the Church of England from 1828 to 1832. Laws that required members of municipal corporations or government office holders to receive the Lord's Supper in the Church of England were repealed, and a law was passed that removed most of the restrictions formerly imposed on Roman Catholics. For a short time, it seemed possible that the Church of England might be disestablished and lose its endowments. Consequently, many loyal Anglicans wished to assert that the Church of England was not dependent on the state and that it gained its authorities from the fact that it taught Christian truth and its bishops were in the apostolic succession, that is, able to trace their authority and office back in an unbroken line to the apostles. This movement rapidly became involved in theological, pastoral, and devotional issues. Newman found it increasingly difficult to endure the furor of the church's infighting, and in the 1840s, many participants in the Oxford movement decided that the Anglican Church lacked grace and converted to Roman Catholicism, John Henry Newman included. Newman was formally received into the Roman Catholic Church in October 1845 by Blessed Dominic Barberi at the college in Littlemore. In October 1846, he went to Rome, where he was ordained a priest and given the degree of Doctor of Divinity by Pope Pius IX. For the Roman Catholic Church in Britain, his conversion secured great prestige and the dissipation of many prejudices. His influence was mainly in the direction of a broader spirit of recognition of the important part played in the development, both in doctrine and in church government. Newman was beatified by Pope Benedict XVI in September 2010 during his visit to the United Kingdom. His canonization was officially approved by Pope Francis in February 2019 and took place in October 2019. He is the fifth saint of the City of London. There's a great deal more you could learn about this brilliant thinker. Holiness, one could say, is a task for all seasons. One of the most effective ways of becoming holy is to learn about and to imitate the lives of the great saints who went before us, including John Henry Newman. Join us tomorrow for another Take 5 with the Saints. Bye for now.